You just imagine your boss bring you to a very important meeting and you sleep in the meeting. Suddenly you wake up already, you talk nonsense. When Jesus bring us to something important things in our life, are you sleeping? Do not need our human tent. Your plan is not working. God himself will cover you. If we know God and we follow his ways, he will cover you. The Father said, "This is my son, listen to him." Today, I didn't use the Gospel of Matthew, but I chose the Year C Gospel, the Gospel of Luke. Because in Luke Gospel, there was something very interesting mentioned there, which is the other two not. So this Transfiguration, Jesus brought the 3 disciples up to the Mount Tabor. Why do we celebrate Transfiguration? We know it's an occasion, it's an important event in the gospel, but why the church chose only this event to be celebrated? Many miracles, many wonders that Jesus performed as well. Why we do not celebrate it? Let's say for the multiplication of the loaves and fish, why we do not have a feast of multiplication? Why Transfiguration? It definitely tells us something which is important. Transfiguration was happened in Mount Tabor. If you have been to Holy Land, some of the trip we go, we visit Galilee first, and from Galilee we move on to Jerusalem, right? Then Mount Tabor is the place that in between Galilee and Jerusalem. When you leave Galilee, you will pass by Mount Tabor. So this is where Jesus made his trip to Jerusalem. The Jesus in Luke Gospel only make one trip to Jerusalem, unlike John. John make 3 trips. You go and look at John Gospel, Jesus make 3 trips. Each year got the Passover, Jesus go also. But in Luke Gospel, it focused that Jesus' journey is just one-way ticket. So Jesus make only one trip to Jerusalem, and he spent most of the time in Galilee. When the hour come, so he make his trip to Jerusalem, and this is where the points that before he going up to Jerusalem, and he went up to Mount Tabor for a purpose. What purpose? He went up to Mount Tabor to manifest his divinity. Because all the while, people are telling who is him, a prophet, or John the Baptist came back from life, whatever. Only Peter said, "You are the Son of God," right? But no other people say that. And this is the point that Jesus really himself manifested as the Son of God. And the Father affirmation saying that, "This is my Son, listen to him." This kind of event is important because it is before his journey to Jerusalem. He will finish his mission in Jerusalem. So it's a very important point. And he brought 3 disciples, Peter, James, and John. And these 3 disciples are the closest one, the special one to Jesus. Jesus have a few important occasions also only brought these 3 disciples. Which occasion? Raised the young girl up from the dead. Still remember the daughter of an officer? He chased everyone out, only brought 3 disciples and the father of the daughter. Raising up the dead is very special. And then Mount Tabor, Transfiguration, he brought the 3. And then which one? Some more. The Garden of Gethsemane. Right before his crucifixion, right? Jesus brought the 3 disciples to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. Okay. So what happened in Mount Tabor? Something significant. Moses and Elijah appeared. Who is this Moses? Who is Elijah? Moses, he represents the law, the Torah. And then Elijah represents the prophets. So Jesus going to fulfill the law and the prophet. And then what they were doing there. That's why I chose Luke Gospel. This one only in Luke Gospel. Luke Gospel said they were talking and speaking about his passing and the things that he going to accomplish in Jerusalem. This one was not found in any other gospel. Okay? You just imagine, Jesus went up to Mount Tabor, have a meeting. He met Moses and Elijah and all these big guy, VVIP, to plan, to meeting of his final stage of his mission. It's a meeting. You just imagine, it's important meeting, And this important meeting, Jesus brought Peter, James, and John, important disciples, to go with him. And what happened? This also only happened in Luke Gospel. And Luke Gospel mentioned that these 3 important disciples fell asleep. They slept. You just imagine your boss bring you to a very important meeting and you sleep in the meeting. What happened? Jesus don't know what to say. And this is not only the one time, no. In the Garden of Gethsemane, 3 of them again, they also sleep again. I don't know, these 3 disciples like to sleep one. Are you sleeping? When Jesus brings us to something important things in our life, something happens, some occasion, some events happen, important events happen in our life, do you able to recognize and wake up awake, knowing that Jesus is doing something for you? Do you know his plan for you? Jesus having meeting with Moses and Elijah, they fell asleep. Therefore, they miss all this planning. They do not know what's going to happen in Jerusalem, because Moses and Elijah were talking there already. I don't know how long they slept. They already talking. Jesus already know how he going to be crucified and how he going to be resurrected, right? They miss all this. Because they miss all this, so when Jesus got caught, they all ran away. Because they did not participate in the plan of God. They did not really with Jesus. They can't see the plan of God. God show us his plan, but we just ignore. We don't want to see, or we just don't want to get into and work with God in his plan. And what happened? When they wake up, you know what happened? This Peter said what? Let us make 3 tents. Talk nonsense. Suddenly someone wake up. You just imagine your boss meeting with all the important people and you are fall asleep. Suddenly you wake up already, you talk nonsense. Suddenly halfway go in, say want to make 3 tents. And the Bible say, Gospel say, he doesn't know what he is saying because he was asleep. He don't know where to come in and suddenly simply say something. So sometimes in our life, we do nonsense. When God asks you to fulfill something, when God asks you to respond to something, then you ignore. After ignoring, then we reason it. The tents, the 3 tents symbolize our self-giving reasons. Sometimes we like to give a lot of reasons for ourselves, our own plan. Jesus do not need the tent. Moses do not need the tent. They have God prepare the cloud to shadow them, to cover them. Do not need our human tent. Your plan is not working. Your tent is no use. God himself will cover you. If we know God and we follow his ways, he will cover you. And the father said, this is my son, my beloved one. Listen to him. Listen means obey, not just listen. We say, listen. Why you don't listen one? Listen means obey, right? We always tell our children, why you don't listen one? I tell you so many times, why you don't listen one? God will tell us like that, why you don't listen. So listen to him. So my brothers and sisters, today's gospel is very important to remind us, to wake us up, not fall asleep when there is an important moment in our life. Right now, your life has a lot of important moments with Jesus. Are you fall asleep? Are you fall asleep? So today is the mountain high experience. Mountain high means high point, the high point. Just think about your high point in your life. And also the Garden of Gethsemane is a low point, very low. High point and low point. Do you be able to listen to his voice? Or we always sleep? This is our high point. We got many high points in our life, high moment. Can you see God plans for you when you are in good time? Can you see God has planned for you when you have crisis in life? Or I'm always so disappointed with God when I face difficulty in life. So my brothers and sisters, God always have a plan for us. The important thing is whether are we be able to listen to his voice. The whole transfiguration is an invitation of God, of Jesus, to his disciples, for all of us. He said, I have a divine plan for you. Come, enjoy. join into my divine plan. Jesus is inviting us to be part of his divine plan. God, the divine, came down as human so that we human be able to share his divinity. And this is transfiguration. And this is the plan of God for all of us. Because what Jesus is going to accomplish in Jerusalem is to make us divine. Amen.